everybody. Welcome back to Two Dizzy Dames. And I'm here today with Megan and me, Lisa. And today we are talking about Wednesday. This is awesome.
hmm
We both binged it. So uh, we have thoughts. I have thoughts. What are your thoughts? Talk about
Do you want my thoughts first, or do you want to give me your
Yes.
thoughts
What are
first?
your thoughts? I know I have so many. Oh my God. It was okay. Go ahead. You first. You first.
I absolutely loved it. I want to watch it again.
What? Really?
Mhm.
I It was cute. It was all right. Jenna Ortega, let me tell you, she was great.
Oh yeah,
I wasn't a
exceptional
fan.
actress.
I wasn't a fan of Gomez, and I know a lot of people were like, "What?" And I really wasn't great with Raul Julia and Angelica Houston. They were just amazing. Even John
Yeah,
Astin from the '60s, but Angelica Houston and Raul Julia, may he rest in peace. They I don't know how they could be topped. I wasn't really fond of Catherine Zeta-Jones's Morticia.
yeah, that
I
was
don't
my
know.
hang up too, especially when I saw the previews because
It was hard for me to get through it.
I I was having trouble when I saw the previews with anybody playing that cast because they were so beloved in my life when I was younger. I lived for the Addams Family movies in the 90s. So the
Mm,
idea that there was a new cast was really kind of hard for me to work my brain around.
yeah, it's really hard because they did such a phenomenal job. And
Yeah.
man, I
Well,
can't
and they're
imagine
what
what
you
Raul Julia
picture.
would have done today too. What?
When you picture the Addams Family, they're what you picture.
You
Like
see
I
them.
don't
You see
picture the
Angelica
cartoon
Houston and
series or the comic book. I
no.
picture
And
them.
and remember I sent you the side by side of the Gomez today and the cartoon. And what did you say? It's his hair?
Yeah, it's his hair. Other than that,
His hair.
he
It's
looks
weird.
very similar to the character,
I
but
don't
it's
know. I
something
don't
with the wave that they did.
Does a little finger waves thing.
Yeah, I think if
It
they would
was
have just
too
left it
like
like straight, like in the cartoon, in
yeah.
the original, was it 1930s
His face looks
comic strip?
lumpy though. It doesn't look very round like the comic strip. I think his face looks lumpy.
Well, okay, but
I
the
don't know.
comic strip was a crude drawing of a person. Like, look at the features for all the other characters as well
That's
in that
true.
1930s comic book.
I'm
Or
looking at
not
Christina
even it wasn't
Ricci's.
even a comic book. It was a New York Times comic strip, wasn't it?
Was it Christina
Or was
Ricci's
maybe not the
Wednesday
Times.
was like so good, and I loved her little quippy one-liners, like the scene in Addams Family Values when that one preppy girl at the camp was like, "Why are you dressed like you're going to a funeral?" And she's like, "Wait," like,
Yeah.
it was just like, oh my god, it was just wonderful, and even Christopher Lloyd playing Fester. I will say, I know a lot of people didn't like Fester in it, but you know what? Fred Armisen's Fester, I think, was 100% like back to the '60s. I liked it. I liked his
Yeah.
Fester.
I didn't like okay, it wasn't a comedy, and clearly he's a comedy character, but
Yeah, he
they
is.
like set him up for everything he said to get the punchline, but there was no laugh track. So it just kind of felt weird that he was like, I did
It did
this, and
feel a
then
little
like, here's my
empty.
laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel
So that
like
was the only part that bugged me. He did look
he
the
was
part though.
really kooky. I liked his personality and I thought he was really kooky
Yeah.
like in the show in the 1960s version. Christopher Lloyd did a really good job, but it wasn't like hey, like happy kind of silly.
Right.
It was more of a dark because I know Tim Burton didn't do the Addams Family in the 90s. He might have had something to do with it, but Barry Sonnenfeld did it. And I don't know if you know who Barry Sonnenfeld is, but Barry Sonnenfeld did the Men in Black movies.
Oh, I did not know that.
Can you kind of see now like how they kind of went hand in hand? Men in Black wasn't as dark and goth, whatever, but it was like a quippy, funny kind of one-liner
Right.
movie with a lot of his stuff. But Barry Sonnenfeld did the Addams Family and the Addams Family Values. So it makes sense because when I remember I saw that years ago and I was like, because I'm a weirdo. I pay attention to credits. And I'll tell you why. There was this guy, this like really awesome like gay guy I was like friends with back in the 90s, and I he was awesome. And I remember he took me to see Muppets in Space. Okay. I don't know what's more fun than going with your gay best friend to see Muppets in Space. And it was like a kids movie. And I didn't have kids back then, whatever. We just went. And he made me sit and like watch the credits at the end. You know how everybody like gets up and leaves, and they're like,
hmm
whatever, and they throw their popcorn away. Like he's like, no, shh, we have to sit because he was an actor, and he was like, we have to sit and stay out of respect for the crew and the actors in the movie. And I was like, what? And I'm like, okay. So we sat until the lights came on, and there was no
Well,
like
and now
end credit
people,
scene.
yeah, now people stay for that
Yeah.
Easter egg at the end, which is the only reason people stay.
Oh, like in the Marvel movies. Yeah, I know, right? So it was pretty neat. But I remember catching that like the Barry Sonnenfeld thing, and I was like, because I remember seeing Men in Black, and I was like, I wonder who made this movie, and I saw that name, and then years later, I rewatched Addams Family and Addams Family Values, And I was like, no shit. That makes sense. I
Mhm.
mean, I know, and I know Tim Burton had a hand in this one as well. He directed like all the episodes or wrote them or something, didn't he?
I thought this was his whole creation. Like the whole thing was
Was it
his.
his whole thing?
Well,
I
he's
saw
pretty
his
big in
name.
the title, in the not in
Yeah,
the
like he did he
credits.
make it? I should have known that. Like because every time I watched an episode, it was like directed by Tim Burton, directed by Tim Burton. I think one
Right.
episode wasn't directed by him. So
Oh,
I'm
I
like, I'm
thought this was
assuming
just
he just
his
made
pet
his.
project baby kind of situation.
Yes, until he does Beetlejuice 2, which I don't know. I'm really worried about that one. I hope that one's not gonna come out really bad.
That's okay. We'll talk about it.
We
But
will, and I hope to God to get Michael Keaton. But aside from that, so with this show, it was hard for me to get through it. And anybody who is watching this right now, spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Okay.
yes, there is going to be a lot of spoilers because we can't help
So
ourselves.
if you stay now after we're telling you there's spoilers, don't be mad at us and don't hate us in the comments because we're telling you right now we're going to spoil some stuff. So I don't want to hear it. So, anyways, okay. I pretty much had a hunch on who the damn Hyde was. So
Yeah.
we all knew
Well,
it wasn't Xavier.
and I kept saying it like the whole time my husband and I were watching this, I kept saying, I know who the person is. Like I know who the girl is that they're looking for.
Yeah.
Like when you were talking about the family, you know? And I kept
Right.
saying, I know who done it. Like I've already figured out who done it. I'm a true crime fanatic. I know who done it.
Yeah.
Like and that
I did think it was the therapist at first, but then she got killed, and I was like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
well, then it's not her.
There
Yeah.
was one very tell in the beginning, and I figured it out from that. Well, maybe
was
not. I think it was like the fourth episode in when they started talking about the nightshade. As soon as they started talking about the nightshade, I knew it was going to be the botanist. It's got to be. She's the only one who knows plants.
Oh, that's smart. You put that together. I didn't put that together.
I'm plants. My
Oh
whole life
God,
is
that's
plants.
right. Yeah, you do plants. Yes. Go check out Busybug Homestead, by the way.
It's where I garden, and I'm not so
Yes.
gothy
And
because I'm in overalls.
and she's got cute pastries on there. Go check that out. Yeah, that's true. That's
Mhm.
yeah. I didn't even catch that.
Yeah,
That's
because right
funny.
up to
Well,
the end,
yes.
my husband was saying, "Oh, it's going to be the therapist. It's going to be a therapist," and I was like, "No, it's not her. She didn't do it." But how
No.
much did you love that was Christina Ricci?
I did love that they had her in the show. Okay. And I was like, well, if Christina Ricci is okay with it, I guess I could be okay with it. You know,
Yeah,
like
I didn't realize it till a couple
she gave
episodes
it her
in.
blessing, you know,
Yeah.
like she gave it her blessing. I guess I can accept it. And it was just hard to get through. And every time my husband watched it, he like just binged it before I did.
Mm.
And he's like, don't worry, Gomez and Morticia are only in one episode. That liar. They were in
But they're
another
in like
episode.
two. They're
Yeah,
like
and I
in
was like,
two.
halfway through, I was like, damn it, I didn't want to see them again, and just ruined it because I was just getting into it, and I was like, all right, forget about them, forget about them.
Right.
If you watch this show, I really feel like you have to get rid of all previous Addams Family stuff out of your brain in order to really focus and get rid of it. You can't focus on the old Addams Family; it'll just ruin it for you, and that's what it did for me. It made me really like dislike the show because all I kept focusing on was Angelica Houston and Raul Julia. That's what and
Well,
Christina
okay,
Ricci.
I have a question. For
What?
you. So the girl who plays Morticia in the flashbacks, who is she? Because I saw her in
Who's
the
pretty?
show. Not just that, if you watch I think it's the 1960s one, she looks just like the Morticia from the 1960s one.
Ooh, I don't know. Now I need to Google this. Hang on.
Okay, go ahead. Because I was watching clips from the
Hold on.
1960s when I was like, wait a minute.
More vision 1960s. Carolyn Jones. That's who it is. Carolyn Jones played Morticia in the 1960s.
Okay, did you see a picture of her? Tell me if
I
I'm
did.
crazy. I might be crazy. I feel like they looked identical. Like I thought maybe that Morticia time traveled. Like that's what I thought.
You know what? You're not wrong. She really does look like the Morticia. Who played the Morticia, the young Morticia? Now I want to know.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, she was Morticia 2022. Yeah, she does. She does resemble her.
We're about to put up
Okay.
a side by side. You're about to see two more
Gwen
Morticias right now.
Jones. Wait. Whoa. Gwen Jones? Is there a relation? Hold up.
Are they related?
Jones- I don't know. Carolyn Jones played the original Morticia in 1960. Is it her grandmother? If anybody knows if they're related, please put it in the comments and tell us because trying to do some like last minute sleuthing on the internet, we couldn't find it.
Because we never thought. I didn't think of it. I just thought they looked really similar. I
didn't
figured
know.
the casting was just so dead on because they look so similar.
Well, except for Gomez and Morticia, but yes.
No. I mean the so in the 1960s version of the Addams Family, she would have been a young mother because Wednesday was only like 5 or 6.
Right.
Right. So the fact that they
Yeah.
got a character or a actress to play young Morticia, where she would have almost been ready to have Wednesday, is crazy that they look so similar because she would have
Oh,
looked like
yeah.
that.
Well,
So
if they were
like
connected, yeah, but it
it
was
doesn't
just
matter if they're connected, it's hitting in my head. Like,
it's I think that's really cool if they're related. If that's her granddaughter, that would be so awesome.
mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, that would be so amazing. Oh, I hope
if
that's
we
true.
if we've found this information out after this, you'll see it strolling across the bottom because I am
Yes.
obsessed with
If
this
we see
idea
it,
now.
yeah. I hope it's true. I don't know. Yeah, we need to go deep doing a deep dive on Google after we're done filming. Oh my God, that'd be so cool. I don't know, but yeah,
Okay,
they do look very similar.
so what was your other favorite part? Like, what was your favorite part of the show? If you had to pick one, ignoring Gomez, pretend he never showed up.
I did like the dance. I know it's such a big thing on TikTok and everything. The song from the Cramps.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the Cramps were out in the late 70s and they're like a rockabilly punk. They're an old
Mm-hmm.
band. I think the song came out in the 50s or something. I don't know. I know they're really, really old school. But I had heard of the Cramps. I never listened to a lot of their music when I was a teen because I know they were like very, very old school. But I did
Mm-hmm.
get a kick out of hearing them and I was like, oh my God, what's this song? It sounds so familiar, I think. And then I saw it was the Cramps. I'm like, no shit, it's the Cramps. And I mean the dance was like meh, but I just like the song in it. I think actually, aside from that, I think my most favorite part was every time they showed her bedroom that she shared with Enid. I was
Oh yeah,
jealous of
I
that
am
room.
determined to have that window in somehow somewhere.
How
That
awesome was that window? And I
that
know
it
the
was
one side was
wonderful.
color and the one side wasn't.
That's
I
my
would have colored
favorite
it.
part of it. No, I
That was
didn't. I
cool.
like the fact that when it showed the shadow on the ground, this is just how great it was, the cinematography. When it showed the shadow on the ground, it had the two different sides showing that they were two
Yeah,
different people. It was just, there was so much that I loved
that was
about
really
that
cool.
particular window.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was really awesome. So yeah, that I saw that detail and thing. I really liked how they redid him
Yes.
at
Yeah. I
Frankenstein
was,
hand.
we talked about that, my husband and I, when we were watching it, because he's always just been a plain basic hand. And the fact that they gave him some kind
Yes,
of
yeah.
character with all the
Stitches
stitches.
and
Yeah. And the
I
fact
always
that he
liked he was
became really good
spider
friends
like,
with
but
Enid. I loved that.
I know. It seems like everybody in the school like understood him. I thought that was neat. I loved in the 90s version with Raul Julia, like when like Thing, I think it was in the first one, and Thing was frantically, or was it this, or I can't remember if it was the first or second one, but Thing was frantically trying to talk to Gomez and he's like doing this, but he's signing. He's like,
Mm.
and he's like, Gomez is like, slow down, you're talking too
I think that's the
fast.
first one. I'm pretty sure that's like, it might have
That's
happened in
funny.
both, but I'm pretty sure
And
you're talking about the first one.
throwback real quick to the original, to the 90s version. How awesome was Joan Cusack as Debbie Jelinski? I fucking loved her in that. Oh my God.
We should
The
do a
part at the
rewatch on
end,
that.
we should. The part where she was like, what did they get me? Malibu Barbie. I was a ballerina, graceful, delicate. They had to go. And it shows the house on fire or something. Like, oh my God, it was just amazing. And I just that whole movie. I remember watching that movie, Addams Family Values, with my mom and dad and under the TV or somewhere. And the part when Fester was like, he was about to get blown up.
Mhm.
Remember? Because remember, and she was like, I got a present for you, and he's like, it's a bomb, and she's like, what? Like he guessed it. And then I remember my dad sitting there, he was like, I bet, because he broke a glass or something, and my dad's like, I bet he goes outside to throw the glass out, he doesn't get blown up. And I can't remember why he went outside, it wasn't for that, but yeah, and he ended up, or I think he withstood the blast or something. that
Well, right,
that
because
movie
he's
was just
Fester.
like, yeah, he's
Like,
Fester. I just,
if there was
the
any
first one,
family for a serial killer to move into and not actually kill her husband, it would have been that one.
yeah. I think the first Addams Family, I wasn't really like, it was meh to me. It was funny and I liked it, but the second one I really loved. And I know, I think my husband or someone was like, I didn't like the second one. I loved it.
I
I
loved
think
both
it
of
was
them.
great. They were great. Yeah. The second one was like the best. And
Well,
I feel like I understood Wednesday because I was that dark haired oddball teen that
yeah.
was like an outcast in
Well,
some
and that's what
way.
I was gonna say. The way that she reacted to the kids at the summer camp, like that's how I reacted to kids every single day that I
Yeah.
was at school. So,
Hey, same. I went to a school. Everybody was Polish, and I was like this Jewish-looking little brunette girl, and they were all like 8 foot tall and blonde, blue-eyed, and I did not look like that, and I was a complete outcast. I mean, my
mm,
grades weren't great, but but everybody there was like this elite, like their families had money, and it was like, yeah, I did not fit in at that school, and I would sit there And that's how I felt like I kind of like resonated with Wednesday. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Like I would sit there with my headphones on, with my Walkman at the end of the lunch table, and read my Mary Higgins Clark books. That's what I would do. And I remember my teacher coming up to me going, "Hey, Lisa, why don't you go sit with the other girls?" And then I would just be like, "No, thank you."
Yeah. Yeah. See, I was an oddball from kindergarten. So, like, I was the weird kid in elementary school who didn't talk to other kids. I had one friend, and that friend and I had an agreement that I don't even know if she still remembers this, that we would let everybody think we were witches. So, everybody at school thought we were witches and they were afraid of us. But I was also the one kid who would sit out in the playground and talk to things that nobody else could see because they were dead. So,
No, yeah.
spirits
That would definitely
spirits
make you an
followed me to school. If
outcast.
you want to hear more about me talk about spirits, supernatural happy hour, that's where you go for that. But
Yeah.
so I was the kid who sat in the grass who would talk to, the girl who's maybe
Yeah.
imaginary, maybe not alive, who knows. So,
Mm.
which
Yeah, I
I
didn't have many friends. I think I had like one or two, but the one girlfriend of mine that I had, she was in a grade above me. And because the school held me back because I was homeschooled and they weren't cool with that. So I
mm,
was supposed to be in the class with her, but so I was initially alone in the classroom, but I was a total outcast. And I always felt like I had that I felt that with Wednesday. Like
right.
she was like the odd one out. And I was like, I felt that. I felt that. And it really, that's why I love the second one so much because it reminded me of me in my school with her at the summer
Yeah.
camp. And she fell in love with that little Jewish boy. That was so funny. They tried to
Yeah,
get her
I
together.
I had such a kinship with that character that when I saw that this was coming out, I had almost more dread than I did when Hocus
Yeah,
Pocus came out because I was afraid they were going to take this character
they
and
would
they were going to
ruin it.
just destroy her. So, and
Yeah,
I mean they've done the Addams Family so many
they
times,
have.
and I have seen every single rendition of it. I mean, we were talking on the phone when we were talking about doing this episode how I'm like obsessed with the musical, and I shouldn't be.
Oh,
Did you listen to it?
which by the way, I saw some of it on YouTube and it's lovely. I
Yes.
liked it. I thought I was like, because I didn't like the Beetlejuice musical. I don't like. I'm sorry, unpopular opinion. I don't like it. I'm used to
Yeah.
the movie, but the Addams Family one, I actually liked it. I really, really did. You were right. It was different. I did like it a lot. I saw a
Yeah.
couple
See,
parts on stage. It was
the
cool.
only part that kind of, and I get it, I get why they did it with that musical where they take her and they kind of turn her into what her boyfriend is. So they put her in like a bright colored dress and they make her pop like more of like a,
Yeah,
and obviously she's completely out of water when she goes and does that. But that was the only part that didn't work for me. Like, I get that it was showing that she needed to change for him to accept her, but he never wanted her to change. It was a whole thing already. But I wish they would have just left her in her actual form and not made her ever think she needed to change, because that's what I've always
yeah,
loved about Wednesday. Her confidence to think that she does not have to change for anybody.
yeah. She doesn't care what people think about her, and that
No,
was what I
she
liked
doesn't
about the
care.
show too. She didn't care. I Yeah, that was so crazy. The whole thing, like, I actually didn't think she was a very good detective. My husband said that too, because I told him, I'm like, "What's it about? Is it any good?" He goes, "Yeah, she's like a detective." He's like, "Actually, I don't think she's a very good one. Everybody dies that she like meets." And I was like, "Oh." And then I watched it. I'm like, "Yeah, she's kind of a sucky detective."
Well, I
I was
like
like,
the
"Huh,
fact though that she was writing essentially detective novels. Like she
that's
was
cool." Yeah,
Dark Nancy Drew. That part I
that
enjoyed
was really really
so
cool.
much, that was her whole mission in life, was and that she was writing such dark material that she was scaring the publishers.
Yeah,
Like that made me happy.
I thought that was funny. I mean, the beginning with the piranha in the pool, I thought that
Ah,
was very like Wednesday Adams, like
yeah,
1990s, something that she would have done in the 90s version also. So I
right.
got a kick out of that. And I was like, okay, that had me intrigued. I was like, that's interesting. But
Mhm.
and then I saw her with Gomez and Morticia, and I was like, I'm like, no, no. But then it got better. And I
Yeah,
want to do this episode with you. So I just pushed through
powered
it.
through.
I
Yeah,
did. I powered through it. And actually, it was not that bad because I was like, well, what's going on with this Crackstone guy? Now I gotta watch it. And it did
because
kind of get me into
because
it.
it's like a true crime mixed with detective, mixed with all the things we love.
Yep,
You
totally.
can't
With all
stop.
the
Like, that's
dark
why I want to
stuff.
rewatch it. I feel like I missed stuff. Like, I've been watching people
Yeah.
on YouTube talk about like the stuff that they've caught, and I'm like, I didn't catch that. Now I have to go rewatch it. Why didn't I catch that?
I feel like it was weird though how it had like the Nevermore school full of like werewolves and beasts, and that was weird to me because in the other Adams Family show and the movies they didn't have that really, all the mythological creature stuff. So
I
this
actually
was
like that
like,
part.
You did like it? I thought it
Hmm.
was weird. I had to like force myself to get used to it. And I was like, well, I'm just have to accept it because I have to see what happens in this story. I
So,
liked when it was just the family.
so going to Nevermore, what characters, like, what did you think about the other characters? Because I'm curious for your take on
I
some of
did
the
like
characters they
Enid.
introduced.
I feel like I feel like I could feel like something with Enid because she's so positive and cheery.
Mm,
And I know I have my cynical moments where I'm like, yeah, but I know for the most part I'm a pretty positive person. And like my husband's always like, why are you smiling all the time? And I'm like, cause it's snowing outside or something stupid, you know?
yeah.
And so I always try to find the positive stuff, you know. And so I felt that I liked that about Enid. She always was positive, and I thought I loved her window, how it was colorful. That was cool. Um, and she liked to hug. It was really neat. But the other characters, Lurch looked like Lurch. I liked that one too, by the way. I think he looked like a really good Lurch. He wasn't very vocal, but he wasn't very much vocal in the other ones either. But I thought they
Right.
did a really good job casting that guy too. Like you said, like throw back to the casting. And then uh the guy, the Xavier, like it was weird she had a love interest. It was odd to me, but it
Well, I heard
worked.
somebody say it was weird that she had a love triangle.
Yeah, because Xavier and then the other guy,
Well, because
Tyler, whatever his name is,
Xavier, whatever, yeah, he was supposed to have been in love with her since they played hide and seek or something, and he just never stopped thinking about her. And
something like that. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. And then, oh, how awesome is it? What's her name? Gwendolyn Christie or something from Game of
Hmm.
Thrones.
Yes. Yeah.
That was cool. She looks so beautiful and statuesque when she's done up with makeup. I had no idea because when we see her, if you could find a picture, if those of you who don't know her from Game of Thrones, she's a very rugged, tough, butch looking knight in Game of
Right.
Thrones. But
No,
then
they styled her that way.
but then in this show, she was very statuesque. She had the
Hmm.
red lip. It was like,
Oh, she was
ooh,
like, she walked straight out of the 1950s. Like, she was like
yes,
looking perfect. Like the
with
dream
the wings.
cosplay for me
I
is
liked it.
how
I
she
loved
looked.
that. She was, and with her little like British accent, like, well, Wednesday, I
Yeah,
liked her. I thought
I
she
did
was
too.
great. That
She
was,
was
they
one
really
of the
did a good
only
job with the
people,
casting.
she was one of the only people I did not suspect the entire time as a monster or as a monster controller.
I kind of did because I knew I had a feeling she was the shapeshifter, but yeah, I had that too. Like I
Yeah.
didn't feel like she was very much. At first, I was like, I bet she's the bad guy, and then as it
Well, they
progressed, I was
they
like,
set
okay,
her up
she's
that
not.
way. They set it
Yeah,
up because they kept talking about the rivalry she had with Morticia and all this other stuff
right.
that she would do.
To make us think
And
that she could be the
right.
monster.
Hmm.
I thought it was a little corny though with Enid that she had the wolf inside her all along. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
Although I did like the dynamic
Yeah.
between her and her mom and how her mom is a
Yeah.
representation of a lot of people's mothers. Like not mine,
Right.
but a lot of people's mothers.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Yeah,
That
all
was
the
really
like the
cool that she was
judgy
like, they kept like, you gonna
backhanded.
wolf out? You gonna wolf out? Wolf out, wolf out. Not slang
Yeah.
term for her to be wolf.
Well,
But
and
yeah,
she kept insulting her throughout that entire family day.
that was rude.
It
Yeah.
was.
I know it was a little rude. I was like, rude. Okay. But yeah, all in all, it was an all right show. It was all right. It was okay. I didn't I'm not madly in love with it. I don't know. I don't know if I could go watch it again. It does look like it was a really interesting show, but I'm glad that I got to go through it and give it a chance and see it. There was a few characters that I really did like that I loved, but yeah, it was all right. I misjudged it from the
Yeah.
get-go because of Gomez. And then once
Right.
I got if I could just get past Gomez, it was all right.
Yeah. Well, I
That was a
mean, typically I would have binged it the night it came out on a normal, if it was a different, any other show that looked
right.
like that. But the fact that I was trying to get around before, like Gomez bothered you, Morticia bothered me. And I love Catherine Zeta
Yeah,
Jones.
that was a little
But
yeah, that was really
something
weird too.
about the way that they presented her, because in the original movies, or not the original, we should stop calling them the original. In the 90s movies,
Yeah.
they always, you know how they like always framed her with extra light on her face and she was
Yeah,
always
they
like,
lit up the top of her eyes on
yeah,
purpose.
right.
Yeah.
But they didn't do
I
that in
liked
this. And
that.
in this, she
It was
acted
just
different.
straight white pale, and it was like she had resting bitch face the whole time. But it
Right.
was better when Angelica Houston did it. And by the way, no disrespect to Angelica Houston and Louise Guzman. That guy actually is fucking hilarious. And Waiting, he's got a lot of funny roles. He's a very funny comedic actor.
Mhm.
And Catherine Zeta-Jones, man, I just loved her in Chicago. I just feel like those roles didn't fit them.
Would
No.
you watch season 2?
Oh, that's a good question. You know what? I will watch it, but only if we do an episode on it.
Oh, I'm down for that.
I wouldn't watch it just because I want to see what happens. There's a
Mhm.
part of me, because I've seen some fan theories already about season 2 and what's what. Which, by the way, let me talk about that real quick. I know I didn't have to talk about. Let me talk about that real quick. So, somebody pointed out that the picture on the painting of the family that was all gone. Remember Christina Ricci's family
Mhm.
that she came from, that they
Right.
all died in that abandoned mansion. The mother was pregnant in that photo, that painting. So
Oh,
remember the end scene where like she got that note or something that was threatening, like there's a season 2 coming.
right.
Is it that baby from that picture? Somebody pointed out that that woman looked like she was pregnant.
See, and I saw
So,
somebody else point out that the lurches look different on the beginning and the end. So when he shows up, he's
oh,
got the grayed out eyes. And then Matt, my husband does not think he thinks it's bad casting. I think it was on purpose. That the lurch at the very, very end scene when he's driving Wednesday away is a completely different person. Yeah.
I got to look up IMDb again. Give me a second. Just a damn minute.
To see if there was
Hold
two
on a
lurches.
minute.
He might have played lurch in
Yeah.
both, but he might have been styled differently. But he is absolutely different in both scenes.
Monster.
I'm going to find this video and I'm going to send it to you when we're done filming.
That's him. That's who played Lurch. What? He looks like a normal dude.
Well, yeah, makeup can do amazing things. And
No, it looks
CGI
like
is fantastic.
No, I see one Lurch man. I don't
No,
know.
I know. So it's okay. I'll show you the video because the way that he was styled, and I don't think it was just a costuming faux pas. Because I know costuming. I worked in costuming. You don't make a faux pas like that. And Tim Burton definitely is not going to make a mistake like that to make them look completely different. So I'll send a video and I'll send it to you, or I'll just put pictures up if I can get screenshots of both of them. But when he showed that video, because it's so quick to catch it, how that guy caught it, I don't know. But now I can't unsee it. So
now I
so
need
I'm
to see
all
it.
excited about season 2.
Okay, so I will. So, like, back to your question. So I'll watch it. So that we'll do another episode on Wednesday, season 2, when we're done binging it. I don't know when it's going to come out. Probably next year. But I'll definitely watch it. Just, if we're going to do another episode. But I'm not going to watch it if we're not, just to watch it. I don't know.
Right.
I
will.
Maybe. I don't know.
I will. And then I'll talk your ear off about it until you're finally stop taking my calls.
Okay. I'll watch it. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for joining us tonight as we talked about the Netflix series Wednesday. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe, leave us a comment. Let us know, what did you think of the show? We would love to have a conversation with you. And we will see you next time with another episode, hopefully soon. Good night.
Bye, guys.